Hey guys, Ablehawk here. Let's get back into looking at the Warcraft 3 Reforged models. Today we're going to look at the Orcish units. Well, mostly the Horde, so I kind of included like Trolls and Goblins in here, just for the sake of, you know, not having a giant video about creeps later. So, looking at the Peon, looks pretty good. It's got the lowly look that you expect out of a Peon. I feel like he's a little tubbier, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, I love his face. They did a good job about like almost an old man look. Just looks like he's been working his entire life. The Grunts, I don't know how I feel about the Grunts. They look a little too neon green for me. And the beard, sure, I guess. I don't know. It's okay, I guess. But, you know, I do like the armor, the chinks, the scars, but it just looks a little bit Incredible Hulk to me. So, other than that, though, I don't know. They think they're pretty good. The Raiders have an enormous sword. I mentioned this one on my gameplay video of trying out Warcraft Reforged, but that's, I mean, it's no wonder they do siege damage. Like, you can knock down a building's supports with that thing, so I thought that was interesting that they did that. But, yeah, pretty cool overall. Definitely like the way that the wolf looks and stuff. Yeah, and he definitely looks kind of like a Beastmaster with, like, the bones on him. And so, anyway, pretty cool. Massive sword, but pretty sweet otherwise.
This short warrior.
Whoops. This is Nazz Girl from the Drek Thar campaign. He looks pretty sweet. Definitely just an upgraded raider, which again, I love how you will just be able to have like variants of the different types of units. Because in the old one, he was just a straight up raider. I think I can't even remember if he was a hero or not. No, he's just a special raider. But yeah, now he's got his own armor for his wolf. And one thing I notice is on the original Warcraft 3, the raiders had gray hair, which I thought was interesting. I almost wonder if they did that to show that they were kind of the raiders from Warcraft 1, because they didn't have raiders in Warcraft 2, and so I don't know. I wasn't sure if that was intentional or not, but in any case, it's not the case anymore. Shamans look awesome. I love the shaman claws. I love the just overall look of the garb and stuff. Just looks awesome. The wolf tail's kind of funny. But yeah, I just think it looks really good. And I feel like it's a little bit less emphasis on the wolf head. You know, like you can actually see his eyes under there. On Warcraft 3, it almost looked like he was an actual wolf man. So they kind of fixed that a little bit. This is the Slave Master, which is a little interesting to me. So the Slave Master in Warcraft 3 is the one who is the only orc that rides a horse, first of all. And he is the one who's driving all the slaves around, like enslaving the town of Strombrad. And he was a Fel Orc in the original Warcraft 3, and so that's where this is a little strange. So we have the Slave Master. I'm guessing this is the one that's going to be used in the campaign. But there's also one called Mathog, which was the unofficial name of that original Slave Master. And he's also riding a horse. He's a Fel Orc this time, but he looks different. And so I don't know why this is in the game's files, frankly. I think maybe they just did this, I don't know, maybe they just had enough resources to just make extra models if they wanted, because these were not two separate models in the original. I don't know, maybe actually, maybe I'm thinking wrong. Maybe he does come up later in the campaign and he actually has a name, but in any case, we have two now, and they're both pretty awesome. His antlers make him kind of look a little more like Blackhand from Warcraft 1, which I like. This is, I think, one of the best improvements in the game. This is an Orc Warlock. The Orc Warlocks in Warcraft 3 I didn't like very much. They had a weird animation bug where they would constantly be scratching themselves on the back with their staff, and it drove me nuts. And they also just looked kind of silly. Like, they had like a cape that was like attached to their head, and they'd waddle around. But this guy looks awesome. I really like the way that they worked with this Orc Warlock. I like his hairstyle. I like this shield of his. It's just awesome, as far as I can tell. So, it's pretty sweet. I don't know what his, like, cast animation is and stuff, if they'll update that and stuff. But anyway, he looks awesome. Alright, moving on to... Okay, this is Garth Ock. I'm pretty sure that he He's a grunt in one of the campaign levels, and I can't remember which. But at any rate, he's a unique grunt unit. He's got a big old morning star, which is sweet, and brown hair. Other than that, doesn't look quite different. It's got a dagger on his belt, which is pretty cool too. But yeah, just kind of a different orc unit, which is sweet. Here's the riderless Koto. I think it's funny that they're blinded, you know, just made to be led. I thought that was kind of an interesting touch. And they've got these like kegs and just like supplies that the Taurens are transporting across the Barrens. So looks really good. Here's the Koto Beast like rider for the Horde, which I think is pretty funny how he's like pretty plump, you know, it's like he doesn't walk much, he just rides, which I think is pretty funny. The Koto itself looks awesome, I think. Those scales and stuff look awesome. Look at those drums. Is there an animation of him like actually playing? Oh, okay, so it's stand channel. I don't know if they're going to do that differently or not. I remember that these guys actually used to be able to, you had to turn on the drums, and I don't know if it drained mana or what, but you turned them on and off, and that's how, you know, they didn't just do it all the time. It was basically like, and you could have speed and attack, I think. Those are the two. Or healing. No, it was speed and healing. He's basically like Lucio, except in Warcraft form, so those animations are carryovers for that. Here we have a Wind Rider. I kind of wish I could stop the animation there, but I can't. He looks pretty good. Definitely got like a bird mask on, and the mask itself is a little more realistic. I think these guys would look probably a little bit better if they're moving. He's kind of hunched over a little bit because he's hovering in place, but anyway, I love these Wyverns or Wind Riders. I guess they're just like, I think they changed their name to Wind Riders now because this one is just straight up called a Wind Rider, so guess I forgot about that. But yeah, anyway, I just love this mythical animal. Looks really, really cool with those. The scorpion tail looks really good too, so overall really good. So now we got the Blade Masters. Oh yeah, this is a Spirit Wyvern. It's definitely not perfected yet, so I thought that was funny. Okay, so here are the Blade Masters. This is the one on melee that you get. Looks pretty cool overall. Here's Grom Hellscream, which looks perfect, like flawless. I think that they did a really good job with Grom. He just looks amazing. And here's Kaos Grom, or the possessed one. Oh, I didn't notice until now that it looks like his axe, Gorehowl, is kind of got some green on it now that he's a Fel. Oh, interesting. Yeah, it's just kind of painted green instead of red. Kind of weird, but yeah, I guess it makes sense. It's kind of got some chaos power in it or something. And it looks like his little horn claws are off his hand, maybe to make room for those horns. I don't know. And his banner is torn, which I thought was an interesting kind of subtle detail. It's kind of a faded look on that Warsong Clan banner, but guess I should have made them purple, huh? That looks a little more like the one I remember. Here's Samuro. Looks pretty much like the Heroes of the Storm one, so looks really good. Burning Blade Clan and everything. Was that the other one? Yeah, Burning Blade Clan as well. And here is the Blade Master of the Blackrock clan. He looks awesome. Got that WoW jaw armor on there and stuff, which is pretty sweet. And I think that's all the Blade Masters. I thought there was, thought there was one more, but maybe not. Alright, so for the Farseers. Here's the Farseer that's on the melee Farseer. Looks pretty good. I like this leather armor for his wolf and stuff. And he's got a shield, spell book, and his staff looks really good. Overall, I just think that's a perfect upgrade for the Farseer. And here is Drek Thar. He looks quite a bit different from the Warcraft 3 model, but it matches his WoW model, which I think is pretty cool with his like blindfold and stuff. I don't really get the symbolism in that because I don't really follow WoW too much, but you know, maybe he can see far without, like, maybe he has a second sight or something. I don't know. Anyway, the bone armor and the feathers are a really cool touch. And here's Thrall, which looks amazing. I love that black and gold armor. Kind of reminds me of RuneScape, if you ever saw the gold trimmed black armor that was really rare. Excuse me. And this, guys, I'm really excited about. Thrall not on a mount. I think that is amazing that they included that. I don't know why. I don't know if on the campaign he's just going to have some moments when he's not on a wolf or what, but I think that's such a cool move to make that available. I love when I just love when there are two forms of it. I guess there's not that many forms where there's a character on a mountain off. I think it's just Malfurion, actually, I guess, but I love that option. It opens it up for cinematics and all that, and I think it's great. So that's going to be exciting. All right, so here we got some Storm Reaver Apprentices, which are in the Sunken Ruins creeps. I think they look pretty good. They're definitely a lot younger than they are in the original Warcraft 3 non-Reforged. They don't have beards. Yeah, they just look... It's kind of interesting because they're supposed to have been there on the Sunken Ruins or the Broken Isles for a long time, but I don't know. They look a little bit different. But I definitely like the look overall. I like that skull, the staff, and here's the next level. It's got kind of more of a mantle on there. Got some axe blades in his staff, which is kind of interesting. And once again, we're getting kind of ridiculous with the scale here. Oh, and that's not even the biggest one. So yeah, here's the next one. He's got more of a trident and stuff. And his skull is more horned, I guess. I don't know. And this here is Drac Thule. So he looks pretty cool. He looks more like a non-combatant. He's just got kind of like a staff with no, you know, no skull and staff, just a staff. Looking on his animation over here, he attacks by like actually kind of a melee attack when the other ones can do, or not melee, sorry, a spell attack, and these guys actually hit with their staff. So kind of interesting. He could be, I don't know if you watched my video where I made a map called Warlock, but I'm definitely still probably going to use this model just because he has that spell attack as his normal. And here's a Stormreaver Warlock, definitely the highest tier and enormously huge. Like if you look at the size difference, he's huge. And his staff is definitely a little more barbed. It's cool how they just each bump up a little bit in edginess, I guess, with each iteration. And his skull's got big old horns and stuff. And then here is Gul'dan, which one of my favorite characters in the game. Probably one of my top 2 favorites. I think Medivh and Gul'dan are my favorite characters, and so this is a sweet model of Gul'dan. I don't think I could be happier with this. It looks great. It's got just like the horns and I don't know, just looks amazing, really. Is he kind of modeled after oh, interesting, he's got a wounded walk. That's cool because on the original Warcraft 3, they kind of had to hack that. They did a trick with the animation where they, you know how they can like move their heads and lock onto people? They locked his chest onto like an invisible other unit or something, so it looked like he was hunched over, but now he's got an actual like wounded walk, which is pretty sweet. Yeah, for the Tomb of Sargeras cinematic. So I thought that was a good touch. Moving on to the next level here are the Fel Orcs. They look quite a bit different. This here is a Fel Peon, which looks way different. What I think is a little confusing is they have like different clothing. So not only do they drink the blood of Manaroth, but like, you know, he's got a helmet on and shoulder armor, tattoos. Anyway, I do like how they've got like horns now and stuff, which is pretty cool. That's a good touch beyond just the red skin, but yeah, the armor's different too. And then yeah, the Grunt completely changes. He's got like different armor, like an upgraded loincloth basically, and his axe is jagged, but I mean overall it looks amazing obviously, but it's just in that campaign it's going to be a little weird how everything just kind of changes jagged just from drinking blood. But the wolf has got a skull mask, looks pretty cool. Overall, the Raider looks really awesome. Already looked at Mathog. Here's the Fel Orc Warlock, which, now that I think about it, I don't think he's in the campaign at all. I think he's just a bonus unit now, and so, because this is the one that replaces the Shaman on that level with Grom, when Grom drinks the blood, so. Overall, looks pretty cool. It looks like the spikes are a little hookier. I don't know, just edgier overall, I guess. And then the Fel Koto looks sweet. Look at these like green fel veins and stuff on the Koto. I think those are amazing to show that like the Koto also drank the blood of Manaroth. And these two sort of weak posts turn into these amazing like stakes with skulls on them and everything, and he looks really cool too. Alright, so that's that. Oh, this is weird. I found this guy in the Horde files. His name is Delorean Dawnseeker. I can't remember who Delorean Dawnseeker is. I'm guessing he's in one of the Horde campaigns because he was in there. He has like an icon of a Blade Master for some reason, and his abilities are Stormbolt and Critical Strike. Yeah, I have no idea. But that's just yet another elf model to add to the roster that I was talking about last time. He even has a Dissipate animation, so he could be a perfect hero unit. So that was pretty cool. Alright, so going to the trolls. We'll get back to those wards in a minute. Here is the Headhunter. Looks awesome. Probably seen him already. And here's the Berserker. They didn't change those very much. They look basically like they did in the original Warcraft. Here's the Witchdoctor. One thing I noticed about him is his head looks really small, and I think it's because maybe his head was exaggerated in Warcraft 3, because he looks like a normal troll now, but I just remember his head taking up more of this sort of poncho thing that he's wearing, and so that was, I don't know, that might take a little bit of getting used to, but this is Vol'jin, who's on a couple of the campaigns, I think, and so he's a Witchdoctor that has a unique skin, and it's really cool. He's got this snake staff and just overall looks a lot different. He doesn't look like an old man troll, but he still has the same animations and stuff, so glad that they added him. This is Shadow Hunter. He's crouched really low. They put masks on him now, which I thought was an interesting move. That they did that in the beta of the original Warcraft 3 and then held off on it for whatever reason, but they brought it back. So now the Shadow Hunters are wearing masks. Both the normal Shadow Hunter and this is Rokan from the Rexxar campaign. He has kind of a more traditional blade. This guy has this thing, which I feel like would be kind of hard to throw. They have like, that's their attack, is like thrown weapons, but anyway, it's got really cool tiki masks and stuff on there. Just overall looks really cool. These are huge. Those are like ridiculously huge. Why would you wear those on your back? Oh well, coolness factor, of course. Oh, and like a snake bracelet thing, which is pretty cool too. Alright, here's some creep trolls. We got the forest troll. I love how the hairstyles are definitely harkening back to WoW, which is pretty cool. And here's a Shadow Priest. I love what they did with the Shadow Priests. Before, they just kind of looked like better posture trolls with like skulls painted on their faces and stuff. Now they've actually got kind of priest implements, and they just look better, I guess. I guess I should put these together based on what they actually are. That upgrades into this, basically, with the Forest Troll Trapper, and then a Forest Troll Berserker, which has enormous axes. But yeah, I just really like the war paint and stuff that they got going on there. And now we're getting to the big guys, so they need to kind of step back here. Here's a Forest Troll High Priest. Looks really good. Yeah, just a different update with pretty much everything on his body. Yeah, looks really cool. And the top dog, the Forest Troll Warlord, with the huge like axes, and he's towering over everybody. Spears, war paint, the whole shebang. Looks really, really good. And the same goes for all of these other kinds. We got the dark trolls. But they are all different, which is interesting, and it kind of makes it sound like almost like they're different cultures, you know, like they came up with different weapons or whatever, you know. The axes are slightly different, these staffs are different, where it's like a different kind of, like he doesn't have a skull on his, but they do for theirs. Anyway, just looks really good. This guy's hairstyle is kind of interesting. Yeah. And then moving up, yeah, see the axe style just sort of upgrades in its own way. These guys have jagged ones, these are kind of the round ones, these are angular ones there. Angular with spikes, jagged on that edge there. Yeah, and of course the ice trolls have like furs and stuff, which is really cool. And the dark trolls are more in the Ashenvale forests, so I don't know, it looks like they just kind of have more of a leather, I guess, and these guys are more fur. I don't know. I haven't looked at them that closely yet. Here's the Ice Troll High Priest. Looks really cool. Again, I just love how they distribute their player colors with that like ribbon around his staff and everything. Like you can tell this is definitely the red team. He's got the biggest staff, I think. Well, I guess they're all pretty big, but looks bigger with like the horns and stuff. And the Warlords just look really cool for each different troll race. I mean, these could be, I've said this before with the top level of creeps, but they could just be bosses in and of themselves, like for, you know, like a dungeon full of different trolls, and then this is the end boss. It's just amazing. Oh yeah, and their tusks get bigger too, I think. So these were in the Horde file, so I thought I'd look at them like the, you know, Fountain of Blood or whatever. I personally really don't like these. I know these aren't like finished because this should be flowing or whatever, and it looks like fake glass or bubble tape or something. But I don't like the layout of this. I hope they kind of change the fountains to be a little bit more like they used to. I loved the way that the old fountains looked, where it was kind of a little bit bigger in the middle. I don't know how to explain it. Like basically it was just a little rounder. Like this seems to be like the 2 layers, and I don't know, it just looks weird to me. Come to think of it, they're probably going to do a lot of work on them. Maybe once they're animated and the liquid is upgraded, it'll look a little better, but because yeah, these aren't even moving now that I look at them closer. So anyway, those are the fountains. Oh, I forgot to look at these, although there's not really much to them. These are the Spirit Wolves, the Farseer casts or summons. I'm not a fan of these ones. The Spirit Wolves in the original Warcraft 3, they were purely the color of your player color, like they were pure red or whatever, and kind of glowy, and they looked really cool, but now they just kind of look like normal wolves. So I don't know, maybe there's some kind of effect that they add. I can't remember. I played a little bit with a Farseer on like a melee map or something. I can't remember if they make them look a little more spirit-y or whatever, but you know, it is what it is. Alright, let's look at the Tauren next. I feel like the totem for this Tauren is a little big, little bit overkill. When they attack with it and stuff, it kind of looks fake. Oh, they have a stand victory. Hey, I like that animation. Do they all have stand victory now? I hope so, because it was weird that only a few of them did. Anyway, where's his attack? Yeah, there's something about him just waving this massive log that just looks kind of silly, so I don't know. I guess we'll see how I feel about that later, but Spirit Walker looks a lot more realistic, which I think is interesting, because in the old one he looked almost silly. His face looked kind of funny, but now he's got, I don't know, I think they updated him quite a bit, so I don't know. He looks, I don't know how I feel about him. Looks really different. There's 2 Tauren Chieftain models now. There's Cairn and this one here. He's got more of an axe, like a big old, just an axe blade, and then Cairn has the classic Tauren Chieftain halberd, so kind of cool they have the 2 differences there. Cairn is a little grayer, which I thought was interesting too, since he's old. And this one looks like a much younger Tauren Chieftain. He doesn't even have a beard or anything. And the Tauren totems are interesting. Like, I didn't think that they are one tree that was like split in half. I thought they were 2, but I guess that makes a little more sense. I don't know. Kind of cool how those are like painted differently. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the Tauren. There is a model placeholder right now for Baine Bloodhoof. He's in the Rexxar campaign, and in that they just used like a mini Tauren Chieftain, and so I'm guessing that they'll probably add that later on. Alright, here are the Goblins. Goblin Sappers are pretty funny. It's got like the goggles and stuff, and there's that one that's stuck in a barrel, which is pretty funny. They've got the bombs with like the painted faces on them and stuff, which is kind of a wow thing that I think adds a lot to them, so I like that. There's a Goblin Shredder, which you can see with like the actual saw blade and stuff. Looks really cool overall. And then there's a Goblin Blaster, which I can't remember where it's from. One of the campaigns. But it, instead of having a saw, has like claws, which is pretty cool. And so I don't know what's all different, but it definitely attacks with that claw now. And it looks like it has a cannon, I guess, for the other arm. So maybe eventually it'll have an animation where it shoots a missile out of it or something. I don't know. Can't remember what the Goblin Blaster is, but it's definitely different from the Shredder. They also have like the kind of the furnace thing right there, which is sweet. Here's the Goblin Alchemist, which is kind of interesting. Definitely has like a Shrek helmet on, which I thought was funny. I wonder if that's a reference. But overall, he's interesting. He's got like a thing full of chemicals right there that oh, he's got it right there. So I'm guessing that's like the healing spray, and he like shoots it out of that hose or whatever. I guess we can look at the animation a little bit closer here. It's probably alternate. Okay, so he's got like purple smoke around him now. It looks like his skin doesn't turn purple, which is kind of a shame. I kind of liked how his skin turned purple when he was in his chemical rage, but whatever. Not sure what that spell is. Oh yeah, that's when he's like throwing a acid flask or something. Yeah, look at that spell channel. So he's like shooting healing spray out of his out of that tank, which is pretty cool. Here's the Goblin Tinker. Looks really, really good. Yeah, I mean, can't get much better than that. He looks sweet. He's got his cluster rockets thing there. These look like, just looks like a real machine, which is really neat. Again, there's a placeholder for Gazlowe, Engineer Gazlowe. I'm guessing he's just going to be an amped up Tinker now, because in Rexar's campaign, he was just Goblin Sappers, which was weird. I mean, I know they didn't have that many Goblin units to choose from, but I'm pretty sure the Tinker came with the original Warcraft 3. I don't know, maybe he was added along with the Firelord and Alchemist later, but in any case, he's going to look a lot better in Rexar's campaign. These are the Clockwork Goblins, which I think are hilarious looking. So far, there's no difference in the level 1, 2, 3, and 4 for those, but I imagine I imagine they're going to update those, like to make them look upgraded in some way. So I guess we'll find out with that. But again, not too many buildings that I wanted to show off except for this pig farm, which is really cool. The pigs themselves are different. Like, they look more just like straight up, you know, swine that are herded and stuff. Which I think is good. Kind of differentiates it from the boars, like the spirit boars that the quill boars summon and stuff. So yeah, looks like he's just used for food. He does look angry still though, and he's got tusks. So this is a power generator. It's on one of the campaigns. Can't remember now off the top of my head, but I think it looks pretty cool. I hope they add some kind of glow to it. Here are some Wyvern cages, or Windrider cages. I wonder if they're going to straight up change that from Wyvern to Windrider. I don't know. I don't know why this one's pure red. Kind of bothers me a little bit. Not sure why it's so red. They also have these two new versions of Windrider cages, which is interesting. I think, aren't the Windriders captured by harpies or something? I think they are. Anyway, these definitely look more harpy wrought, which I think is cool. They even have like feathers on them and stuff. So these ones, I'm guessing they're going to use those for the campaign. Not sure why they kept these, but one thing I'm a little upset at is I liked the old Wyvern cages because you couldn't see through them. So I like to use them in some of my games to hide, you know, a creature so you could break it open and see what's in it. But in these ones, you can see through them, which means it might be hard to, I don't know, it might just be hard to be the same, I don't know. Here are the Pocket Factories. They do indeed have upgrade animation changes, or texture changes or whatever. This one's got a little bit more gold on it and stuff. Those gears, it's got like a pressure gauge. The gears, I guess those gears don't look too different, but yeah, there's definitely changes and stuff on them which make them look pretty cool. And then here are the resurrection stones from Rexar's campaign. I think it's amazing what like a stone texture does, doesn't it? Like that just, There's nothing like that on Warcraft 3 before that makes it look so realistic like that. So I love the stone texture and the moss on it. I think that was a great move. Looks like we're done there. Moving on to ogres, which used to be part of the horde. So we got just a normal ogre warrior, ogre magi, which I realized is always plural because there's 2 heads. And then this is an ogre mauler. He's got like he's got some armor, Morning Star that's like made of metal instead of that wooden club, which is cool. And then this is an ogre lord, which I think looks sweet. Just, I mean, awesome armor, a ridiculous weapon. I don't even know what that is, but it is huge, and yeah, could definitely be used to clobber somebody. And then these are this is the Stone Maul ogre with only 1 head. Looks pretty cool and looks different from the normal ogre warrior. Before it was literally just this with 1 head, so that was interesting. There's no 1-headed magi, I think for lore reasons. I think only 2-headed ogres could become ogre magi. And this is the king of them all, the Stone Maul war chief. So this is the guy that Rexxar challenges in the arena on 1 level, and he's incredible. He looks exactly like a Hearthstone card that I'm pretty sure is called Stone Maul Ogre. I don't know. I imagine later in WoW they changed their skin to red, and so they made that match up, but he looks amazing. And like heavily armored, again, end boss to end all ogres. Okay, here's something interesting. Here's Rexxar, obviously. And, you know, he looks exactly pretty much the same as he did in the early one, plus they added like the jawbone and stuff to match him up with WoW. And this is the normal melee Beastmaster. So I thought that was an interesting move that they made him not have the cowl anymore. I don't know. I would have liked, like, maybe not exactly this specific pelt to make him, you know, distinct from Rexxar, but I think it would have been cool if they had some kind of animal pelt, because he doesn't even look like a Beastmaster. He just looks like a straight-up ogre hero. And it's interesting that that's kind of the first time that they've ever shown a Mach Nathal half orc, half ogre without, you know, that cowl. So anyway, looks pretty cool. Definitely a different sort of feel for that. In fact, I kind of feel like he looks cooler than Rexxar. He's like bigger. His axes look a little bit, I don't know, I guess the axes are pretty cool, but anyway, interesting choice there. So these are the some of the beasts. The hawks look really good. This one's just kind of a little one, you know, and then you add some bigger feathers, and then this one is like, you know, got the rings on the little wing horns and stuff, and then he's even got like some of his primary feathers are colored based on what the player is. So I thought that looked really cool. And then these, the bears, I'm not sure how I feel about the bears. We got Misha here, which I think is perfect. I think that looks great. But then all these other ones of like the bear that the Beastmaster summons and stuff and all these, it looks like they just straight up got a can of spray paint and spray painted down its back. I'm not a big fan of that. I think they could have made it a little subtler with, you know, markings on it and stuff, but not that much red. I don't know. I think that looks weird. This is how Misha looks on Heroes of the Storm, and I don't really like it on that case either. But, you know, Misha's got 4 levels here. The main thing that changes are these things. These kind of look like, I don't know if you've played Spore, but it looks like some of the things you can add to like the tribal characters, which I thought was funny. Oh, and Misha's got huge brows in the 4th iteration, which is funny. And these bears still have the saber teeth, which I think is kind of interesting. It just kind of goes from a light brown to a brown and a black with more markings on it, so not as drastic of changes. Here are the quill beasts, which are interesting. Got lots of horns and stuff on them. I thought before they just kind of looked more like boars with some spines on the back, but now they've got horns on their forelegs and stuff. And then in the case of Rexxar having a 4th level Berserk quill beast, yeah, they've got the 4th level for that too, which is pretty cool. Yeah. Anyway, I think, let's see, is that everything? Oh, I forgot to look at the wards. So they changed these quite a bit. This looks pretty similar. I'm not sure why the lightning's down there. I'm guessing maybe they're going to change it. But yeah, before it was kind of up here. I don't know. I guess we'll see. The healing ward looks different. Before it had kind of a sort of angry tiki face. Now it's, I don't know, it's a little different. It's a little cuter, I guess. I don't know how to explain it, but they do look distinct, which I think is good. And then the sentry ward looks good with the little eyeball. Not much different there. Kind of looks around a little more realistically, though. Okay, and then here we got the serpent wards, which are pretty cool. They made some interesting changes to them. The shield changes in each one. Got a little more feathers on those last ones, but yeah, the snake type changes as well. You got more of like a jagged hood here, and then the last iteration, which I'm pretty sure that this is only used for Rokan on the Rexar campaign, but yeah, looks vicious for sure. So anyway, they just do a really good job of making things feel like they're getting better and whatnot. So anyway, I guess that's it for the orcs. Thanks for watching, everybody. Next time around, I'll be looking at the undead. And fairly soon, when the night elves are available to play, I will stream and we can try out the undead and night elf units on the beta together. Thanks for watching, and may your blades never dull.